All right, so this is a continuation of the fundamental of theorem of calculus refresher. And in this video, we're going to show you how to use your TI-84 to do some integration. So remember, fundamental theorem of calculus says if we have a nice function, we can find the definite integral of that function from a to b by taking the antiderivative and plugging in b and plugging in a, and then subtracting them. That is fairly nice most of the time when we can find a quick antiderivative, but we can also use technology. And in this class, in my class, I use TI-84 quite often. So I'm going to show you how to do that with a couple of examples that we have here. So let's find the definite integral using the TI-84, using the technology of the TI-84. We're going to integrate sine from 0 to pi, and then we're going to integrate 1800e to the 0.12x from 0 to 5. We'll do those two first. So I have my TI-84 pulled up, and we want to be able to do some integration here. So the way you do integration, first off, let me start this off. We're going to be using sine, and anytime we're doing calculus topics with trig functions, we want to make sure that our mode is in radian mode. And I also like function mode here, and I also like math print. So I like to use math print and then make sure our function, that way when I hit the X button, it'll actually give me out the variable X and not some letter X, some other letter. And then, oops, make sure we're using radians. So once that's all set, then I go into the math menu, which is right here, and I scroll down to number 9. Number 9 is function integration. Since I have my math print on, it looks like this. It looks exactly like my integral. Let me zoom in just a little bit. So it looks exactly like my integral. So if I'm integrating from 0 to pi, now the pi button is over here on your calculator, 0 to pi, whoops, sine of x. So I hit the sine button, and then I hit the variable key x. So I hit sine and then the variable key x. If you're in function mode, it gives you an x. If you're in parametric mode, it gives you a t. If you're in polar mode, it gives you a theta. So sine of x, and then I scroll over with respect to, again, the same x, the variable key x. And sure enough, I get 2, just like I would have if I would have integrated sine by hand and then plugged in pi and plugged in 0. You can do that with the other function as well. The other function is going to cause us to use the e to the x feature. So, but once again, you just go to math. You can either scroll down to the number 9, or you can just hit the number 9 after you hit the math button. Again, the math button's right there, and then hit number 9, or scroll down to number 9 and hit enter. So in that second integration, I was integrating from 0 to 5, 1,800 e to the 0.12x. Again, I'm using the variable x key in that case. So 1,800 e to the 0.12x integrated with respect to x, hit enter, and I get, again, the same number that I would have if I would have done this by hand, which is 12,331.78201. So that's how to use your TI-84 as long as you have math print. We'll go over what happens if you don't have math print in just a moment. But before we do that, let's do a couple more examples. You can try these on your own if you'd like, or if you don't want to do them on your own, obviously you can just watch the rest of the video. But push pause and try these on your own if you'd like. All right, so I'm going to do the two integrations that we just saw. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Once again, math 9. I'm just going to hit the number 9. The first one was integrating from -1 up to 2 of 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. We're integrating that with respect to x. And that gives me a definite integral of negative 10.5. So when I evaluate that definite integral, I get negative 10.5. In terms of the other one it said to integrate. You can scroll up too. There's actually, if you're hitting up or down, it's a little bit quicker to actually scroll up. So go up to 9. We're going to integrate from 0 to pi over 2 cosine of x with respect to x. Again, so that's just exactly what it looks like. Now, one quick thing, I'll do it on these two examples. If your calculator doesn't have the option for math print, if instead it just has the classic print option, then things will look a little bit different, but definite integrals can be calculated in the same steps. So for instance, if I wanted to have integrated the function 2x squared minus 5x minus 3, what I would do is I'd hit that function integrate. I'd plug in the function first, and then I have to hit comma. That's right above the 7 button. Then the variable x, then again comma, and then -1, comma 2. So I'd be integrating that function with respect to x from -1 to 2. You see, you get the exact same thing you did with the math print feature. And we could have done the same thing with cosine as well. We were taking an integration of cosine with respect to x from 0 up to pi over 2. And obviously we get, again, the same thing. Now, I like utilizing math print because it's a little bit easier on my eyes. It's a little bit more consistent with how things look when I write it down by hand on paper. Now, one thing I want to mention about utilizing the calculator can be seen using this example. If you integrate this example by hand, you get exactly 18. If you need to see that, obviously you can do that by hand, but you get exactly 18 when you integrate this by hand. However, when you integrate this with your calculator, we're integrating 0 to 9, the square root of x, dx. We get just slightly over 18. Now, the reason your calculator gives you a slightly different number than when you integrate it by hand is because of the numerical process that the calculator uses to find this. It uses a numerical approximation process, which sometimes can lead to some rounding errors, especially down here in what's that, the eighth decimal place. Now, usually it's not going to be too far off of what the actual integration is. So in my classes, you round to 2 decimal places. So obviously that would be the same as 18 when you round to 2 decimal places. But if I were looking for an exact answer, I do have to realize that my calculator does this process, and it might be just slightly off in certain circumstances. Okay. So if you're looking to get exact answers, you might have to be a little bit cognizant of what your calculator is giving you. So other than that, that's the things we need to know with technology. That's how to use your calculator. Again, be careful because of the numerical algorithms the calculator uses to find uh, the areas. It might come up just slightly different than what you would get by hand. Okay, that's not a problem when you're rounding to 2 decimal places, but if you're looking for precise answers, that might throw you off. So that's it. That's how you can use your TI-84 to do integration.